Welcome to the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. I'm thrilled you're here. My name is Jason Elkins, and in addition to being your host, I'm also a former U.S. Army paratrooper, third-generation commercial hot air balloon pilot, paramotor pilot, ex-Montana fly fishing guide, advanced open water scuba diver, and a full-time nomad that's visited more than 30 countries on 6 continents. As a seasoned adventure travel expert with a passion for creating and sharing meaningful experiences, I'm on a quest to impact the lives of adventure travelers, tour operators they rely on, and the communities that host them. Every week, I bring you exclusive interviews with fascinating adventure tourism experts who have agreed to share their personal stories, favorite destinations, and some invaluable travel insights they've picked up along the way. We'll enjoy a casual conversation, create some connections, and likely share some laughs. It's my hope that by the end of each episode, this big world will feel just a bit smaller. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. Today, we've got a fascinating guest. He has been listening to the show for quite a while, and we connected recently. And he said, "Oh yeah, Jason, I think I've heard like every episode." And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So we've got Edward Lyimo here. He is the founder and CEO of Pristine Trails in Tanzania, right, Edward?
Yes, that's correct.
Ed, so happy to have you on the show. Pardon my language there. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Jason. It's an honor to finally be a guest on your podcast.
Well, we're gonna have a fun conversation. You've heard enough of these episodes to know it's just a conversation. It's There's no script, no editing, so it's just like we're sitting there, having a beer or something together. So super happy to have you here.
Love it.
Before we jump into kind of the conversation about what got you to this point of, in your business, in your life, because we're going to dig into that.
Yep.
Let's do this. Let's give our listeners kind of the 30-second, 60-second elevator pitch for, your business.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to give them a chance to understand what is Pristine Trails before we go any further.
Great. Okay. So Pristine Trails, we specialize in crafting unforgettable personal safaris and trekking experiences in Tanzania and the greater East African region. So whether you are looking for an upfront seat to the Great Migration, a once-in-a-lifetime Mount Kilimanjaro trekking expedition, or a deep dive into East Africa's vibrant culture, we make it seamless, immersive, and offer a true extraordinary experience. We employ local guides, and we have a commitment to conservation and an eye for details to make the trip unforgettable.
Very cool. It's almost like you practiced that. I know you asked me before I pushed the record, or the first time we spoke, you're like, "Well, are there any questions I should prepare for?" And I said, "Nope, nothing. Don't prepare for anything." And maybe you've heard enough of the episodes to know that sometimes we do the little 30-second elevator pitch. So that's very good. I suspect you didn't do it just for this opportunity, but
no.
That was great.
And we'll find out. Yeah, I've been doing this 16 years now. So
yeah,
yes.
So you have a pretty good idea what your business does. I respect that.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, I look forward to learning more about the business, but I really want to learn about you. I think our listeners are, they're interested in what you do, but what I've found with, with the guests I've had on the show is we all kind of have our own story. And sometimes it's not a story that you've shared with anybody else in a format like this. So Let's go back in time. Ed, how far back in time do we need to go to get a full picture of what caused you to be doing this type of work?
Well, for Pristine Trails, let's go back to a late teenager.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Let's start there. And if I think we need to go further, I'll push.
Okay.
So what was going on when you were in your late teens?
So I had graduated high school at the time, and my mother used to work at a volunteer organization. So basically what this organization did is they brought over, it's like an abridged version of the Peace Corps. They brought over volunteers, and they would have stints of a month to 3 months at the most.
Okay. And this was in Arusha?
Yes.
In Tanzania?
Yes, in Tanzania. They had a base in Arusha, one of the biggest cities there, and then in a smaller town, Moshi, which is right at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Okay.
So my mother was actually based in the Moshi base, and that's where my story began.
Okay.
So when I graduated from high school, I was waiting to go to college, and I would local volunteer. So I was the liaison with the international volunteers and all the projects. So I'll
Hmm.
do the translation and just get them comfortable with the projects, and that's what I did.
And you were
But
doing this right out of high school?
yes, yeah. We have the British system. So our high school is 6 years. We go through A levels.
Okay.
So yes, so I wasn't 16. I was 18 at the time. Like we graduate high school at 18.
Okay. But what I'm hearing is 18
Yes.
years old, and you're kind of the liaison between the international volunteers, some of the local projects.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yes.
impressive,
Oh,
right? It sounds pretty impressive.
it does, but I was more a local volunteer. So on the day to day, so when they go out to the schools, I would just be there as especially for the language aspect of it, because a
Okay.
lot of Swahili is the local language in Tanzania, and a lot of this project, the English wasn't the first language, so communication was hard.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that I would do is I would go out with the volunteers to whatever project they had, and I would just be there to translate. I was a translator.
All right. All right. That's
Yes,
it's very cool. It's a good
it was
opportunity.
cool.
So you met people from all over the world that were coming in for these projects, and
Right.
okay,
Yes.
I see.
To put it in perspective, they would have at least 40 volunteers come in every month for like 9 months out of the year.
So if you go back in time and kind of remember what that was like, tell me some of the impressions you were making about. We're not here to disparage any group or any people, but I'm
No.
just curious as a teenager
Yes.
experiencing all these people coming from around the world, were there any kind of takeaways or kind of um, memories or stories that kind of came up, or attitudes about people from different parts of the world
Yeah, plenty.
that
Plenty.
you're comfortable discussing on the show?
Plenty. Yeah. Plenty. This would have to be a whole other podcast session of just that part of my life. But
Okay.
in general, there was, people were surprised about how much people were surprised about me and how conversant I was in English. But I grew up speaking and learning English in school with an extra push from my parents. But like English is a very common language there, so there was a big surprise there. There was a big surprise on just what is available in this little town of Moshi. People were surprised by cars and proper
They
houses
were surprised that you had cars.
that they yes that
Okay.
cars were
Yeah.
even
Uh-huh.
available. Like
Hmm.
people came again. Like you, this was for I would say 95%. This was their first foray to Africa.
Okay.
So you have this preconceived notions, preconceived stereotypes, and fears, and for many people didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know where they were going. I mean, they did, but they didn't.
Did
So
you?
there
I'm
was
curious. Before you started this
yes,
project,
hmm
your mom was already working for the organization. Did
yes.
you? Had you heard stories? Did you kind of know what to expect? Would your mom come home and talk about these crazy foreigners and some of the crazy things they would say? Or when you went into it, was that your first real like, oh wow, this is not what I expected? I'm just
It,
curious.
um, it wasn't my first. My mother actually worked with the Peace Corps. She was actually a Peace Corps employee before this
Oh,
organization.
okay.
So since I was a toddler, that's when my mom used to work with the Peace Corps. So I had met a lot of Americans, and I'd always go to work with. She'd take me to work, and I would always
Hmm.
meet
Okay.
Americans. I already knew it wasn't new for me.
Okay.
But
I knew this story didn't start at 17 or 18. I think we're getting a little deeper. All right.
yes,
How many siblings did you have?
I'm the oldest of four boys.
The oldest of four boys. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Were you, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but
Okay.
what was the range of ages? I mean,
So
your youngest sibling is how far from you?
so we're 3 years apart. we're 3 years apart, and our youngest is 28.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Yes.
you were all brought up kind of in this family with some exposure to foreigners and obviously language and stuff like that. Do you
Yes.
maybe we're jumping ahead, but do you remember, like when you were younger, did you want to go work with your mom and work with foreigners and this type of work, or was that just like you didn't know what else to do when you turned 18, or what did that look like?
Yeah. No, when I turned 18, I didn't know what to do. I had graduated high school. There's very little you could do in this
Hmm.
small little town. And my mom said, come to work with me, and you can volunteer, you can keep busy, you can meet all these foreigners. The organization was not only American, but I would say 80% of the people who came through it were from the United States.
Okay.
So you could, meet all these Americans and just practice your English.
Do you remember the moment when you decided you wanted to work with people visiting Tanzania?
Yes, on the travel side, yes.
Okay.
I remember it vividly.
All right. Is there more we need to cover before we get to that point? I don't want to miss anything important here. Because what I heard was
No,
I'm 18, you're volunteering, you're helping translate and facilitate these connections with foreigners and people there locally. And
yes.
then how did you get from there to the point when you're like, okay, I want to work in the adventure travel business or the tourism business?
Yes. So basically, so the volunteers lived in a compound, but it was only for volunteers and staff. So what happened is there was a tour company that approached me at the time and said, "Hey, like, if you push these volunteers our way, we could you can make a commission." I said, "Okay, can't hurt." So when people would ask, all these volunteers would always ask me, "What can we do over the weekends?" The weekends were free.
Okay.
They had Friday afternoon to Sunday evening. So like, what can we do? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, you could go to the little town. I don't know what you could do. So when the tour company approached me at the time and they say, hey, like, you could recommend them our way, and we'll give you a commission. I was like, oh, okay, that can't hurt. So when they would ask me, they'd say, hey, like, talk to company X, and they could put a tour together for you. But then the guy at the tour company, he was a very friendly guy, and he would also let me go on the tours
Okay.
for free. He's like, oh, like, Edward, let's go. Let's go to the waterfalls. Let's go to a day hike on Mount Kilimanjaro. Let's go on safari. These were things that, it's one of those things where you live when you live in that town, you don't really do them.
Hmm.
It's just for tourists to come do. But then here I was at 18 going to see all these things. I'm like, oh, like, this is really fun. Like, we went on a bike excursion. Like, I ended up experiencing the whole gamut. And I
And I'm
really, and I,
curious, when you were going along for free, were you generally with clients as well? Did they just kind of give you a spot on the tour so
yeah,
you were able to see how the clients engaged and how the
yeah,
guides engaged with the clients and all that
mhm,
stuff? Wow, that's cool. Yeah,
yes,
it's a pretty
yeah,
good
yeah,
start.
exactly.
Yeah.
And make a commission off of it and say, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up doing that, and then came the time. First of all, I remember one of the first trips that I recommended and was able to go on. I remember making $100. He gave me a
Ooh,
hundred dollars and it's like, this is yours. I was like, all mine? He's like,
nice.
this is all yours. I was like, oh wow, this is great.
And you get to go hang out with us for the day.
I
Yeah.
know, and I was like, wow, okay. And that was just for a day trip. I was like, wow, this is great. I like
Uh-huh.
this gig. So then came the time to go to college, and I had to leave this small town, and I had to leave my gig, and I wasn't ready, and I had to find a way to stay, but also go to college, because with my parents, I had to go to college. There was no taking time off, no gap, like, it was time for college. So then I found, in this little town, there was a wildlife management college. I was going to go to college for a business degree, something along those lines.
Okay. Why? Just curious. Why business degree? Was that something your parents were interested in, or I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, that was just my trajectory when I graduated high school. That's what my trajectory was. I was going to take some sort of a business degree and figure. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I was
Okay,
going to figure it out in that path. So I'd
gotcha.
already done my applications to a school. I'd actually go to school in Kenya, so a whole country over.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't want to leave little Moshi town at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro. I didn't want to leave.
Hmm.
So I applied to a different school in the same town, did get into it for a business program. I didn't get into it. And then I found the school for African wildlife management. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to apply for this course. And I applied to it and I got in. And
Was it mostly just because it was in Moshi?
yes, yes, I had to find a college. I had to find a college so I couldn't leave the town.
All right.
And at
So
that
if it
point,
had been
I didn't care what the course was.
okay, I got you. So it could have been a basket weaving college, and you would have been fine.
Yes,
But
I would
but
have.
now let's talk about your parents. So
Yes,
what did they think
yes.
about you staying in Moshi and studying African wildlife management?
They again, like for them, the base was I had to go to college.
Okay,
That was
good.
the
All
base. So
right.
they didn't. They 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 weren't upset about my choice for African wildlife management. They said, you know what, you're going to college, and they couldn't care less what I studied, but I had to go to college
All right, that's a pretty good compromise. There's
in the
other
required
parents that
time.
are not quite so flexible.
Yes, in the required time, I had to go to college. So I said, okay, I'll go study wildlife management.
Yeah.
Very different, very different trajectory, but a significant trajectory in my journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
just to get myself up to speed, basically, like
Yes.
you kind of got turned on to this tourism thing. You were selling tours, really. That's what a
Yes.
commission is, right? You're selling
Yes.
tours.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
you're starting to go along on them. So you're kind of maybe in the process of getting trained to be a tour operator, tour guide.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
secure a college entrance in Moshi.
Yes.
So you can kind of hang around and keep doing that. So what was that like
Yes.
going to school? And were you still working, volunteering? What did that look like?
Yes. So once I started college, I didn't have as much time to local volunteer, but I still had the connection with the volunteer base.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, right before I started college, I'd actually now launched Pristine.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
Kind of started.
I
So you
opened.
started your own thing
Yes,
in
I
a
started my
sense.
own thing.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I started my own thing. I started my own thing. Went to college, and so this is what I would do because I knew the base and I had an in. I would always pitch to new groups that came in, new volunteers that came in, and say, "Hey, this is a setup. This is what we can do." I ended up being competing with my mentor.
I was I was thinking about whether or not I was going to ask that. He might be listening. What would you?
Yes, no, we're friends to this day. We
All
respect
right.
each other very much. At that point, what had happened is his business really blew up. His business really grew, and the commission structure started changing. They didn't see a need for me anymore, which is okay.
All right. That's
which,
cool though,
which is
because
okay. But then
which
I
created
talked to my
opportunity
mom.
for you.
Yes, but I actually talked to my mom, and I told her, she encouraged me. She's like, "Oh, why don't you just start your own thing?" And I was like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, why don't I? I
Hmm.
know I know enough." So yeah, so I jumped into it feet first, and Pristine Trails was born.
Okay, so I mean, you're a good example. You're a tour operator that listens to the show. I know we've got
Yes.
quite a few tour operators and guides, and
Yep.
aspiring tour operators and guides. So this is probably an interesting part of the story for them, because I
Right.
know there's people out there that like would love to start something, but
Right.
they didn't maybe have that support of a mother that said, "Hey, why don't you start your own thing?"
Yeah.
So let's share a little bit with that aspiring person that's listening.
Yeah.
What were kind of like, we don't need to go into all the details, but what's the most important advice that you would give to somebody that wants to kind of start their own thing? Maybe it's someone in Africa. Maybe it's someone in Moshi listening right now. Maybe you don't want
Yes,
them to start their own thing.
yes. No,
But what would you say?
over the years, I have helped guides who've worked with me get a vision, and I've helped them start their own projects. There's
Cool.
enough. There's enough in the market for everybody. So yes, I would be happy to share. Generally, here's again, like I encourage people who want to start tours to go on tours.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can, like go on a tour, and that's what helped me. Like I had a unique experience where I really went on a lot every weekend, and I know not everybody will have this much of an experience, but go on tour as much as you can. If you live in a small town and you could go on a food tour, you could go on a day tour, go on tours and
What do you
learn.
say? What do you say to the person that's like, tours are expensive. I don't have money to go on tours. I don't come from a family
Yeah,
that goes on tours, but
yeah,
I'm kind of like you in the sense that
yeah,
the very, I mean, the
yeah.
very first guide trip I ever went on, I was the guide.
You're the guy.
Because I was not the type of person. I didn't have the resources to pay for a guide.
Yes.
So what do you say to that person?
If you're younger, you have time. So get an apprenticeship. Like you have time. Apply to jobs and do an internship.
Mm-hmm.
Use the free time that you have at the time to get into a business. Like these businesses need interns. If you go with them, if you approach a business and say, I would like to be a tour guide, I would like to learn. I don't especially require payment because I'm learning. If you go with that mindset, I would say 9 out of 10 they will let you in.
And do you think it's super important that you do? I think it's important to do that in person. I
Right.
think just sending off emails like, oh, I would love to work in the adventure travel
Yeah.
business or whatever, I'll do anything. I
Yeah.
just think it gets lost. My
It does.
first job in
Yeah.
adventure tourism
Hmm. Hmm.
was I went door to door in this tiny little fishing village almost in Montana.
Yes.
I went to the shops and I knocked on the door and I said, look,
Yes.
I'm here. I want to work in this business. I will do anything.
Yes.
I'll dig holes. I don't care. I
Yes.
just want to be here and I want
Yes.
to be exposed to it and I'll do anything. And
Yes.
that first day out, this guy looks at me and says, well, our manager of the lodge was killed in a car accident last fall. We're getting
Oh,
ready
okay.
to open for the season.
Yeah.
Can you
Okay.
manage the lodge? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'll sure give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's important, right? I think.
It's important. Yeah, if you can get face to face, it's even better now. With a lot of emails, I get people emailing me, Instagram messages, and yeah, it's a lot. But I do say if you're going to email, it helps if you have a skill.
Right.
If you
Mm-hmm.
have, yes, especially in our field, if you have, I know there's tour companies like we're only English speaking, but I know there's tour companies that are Spanish speaking, Russian speaking, and there are
Mm.
people out there that do go study, that do take language classes and want to be tour guides. I know they exist. So maybe if you have that skill, then lead with that. If you're going to email, lead with that skill.
Do
You
you
you will
think
stand out.
yeah, I'm curious about that because I've
Yeah.
traveled enough and been around guides enough that sometimes you'll have a guide that, he speaks Russian or
Yes.
something,
Yes.
so you meet some guy in Latin America, he lives in the jungles in Colombia, but he
Yeah.
speaks Russian
Yeah.
and he's a guide and he's really made a niche for himself. It's like if
Yeah.
there's a Russian client coming anywhere near,
Yeah.
who are they going to
Yeah.
call?
Yeah.
So would you suggest if a young friend of yours or somebody you came across that you were wanting to help out, said, hey, I'm going to go learn a language so I can be a guide. Should I go with English or should I go with one of those other things? How would you advise them? I mean, I'm sure it's dependent on the scenario, but what do you
It's
think?
it's dependent on the scenario. If you're I'll start here. If you can learn languages easily, and you're ready
Well,
to put
yeah,
it,
that's
and you're
probably
ready
a
to put
good
in the
point.
time,
That's probably a good point. Before
do
you
it.
say go learn Chinese or Russian.
Yes, because
Yeah.
again, like yeah, if you're ready, if you're an easy learner and you like languages and you're ready to put in the time, yes, you will stand out,
Okay.
because you will stand out. Everybody pretty much speaks English in Tanzania. I mean, give or take. But yes, you will stand out. But you might have another skill. Maybe it's not a language. Maybe you have a mechanic background. Maybe you're a mechanic, and and there's a lot of, for example, the safaris. Your vehicle, and having mechanical knowledge really stands out. So lead with that. Maybe maybe your parents were chefs at a certain lodge, and you have a chef background. Whatever you have as a skill, if you're going to email, lead with that skill. If you don't
Okay.
have any skill, then I would recommend, if you can get face to face,
And rely on your personality.
rely on
Hopefully
your
it's either
personality.
you either have skills or you have personality.
Yes, make an impression.
All
Yes,
right. I think
yeah.
that's I
But there's a
think
lot of
that's
opportunities for when you're younger to sign up for. You won't be, the pay won't be handsome, but that's not why you're there. You're there to build some skill and a name for yourself.
yeah, kind of like you did. Really
Yes,
with your situation was, you were getting some commissions,
yes,
but when you were tagging along going on these groups, it was so you could learn
yes,
and get a feel for what that looks like, and it opened up a lot of opportunity,
yes.
obviously for you. I'm curious because this has come up a few times in conversations I've had with people. Perhaps I know you've heard them.
Mhm.
Is like, what line of work other than tourism,
Yes.
other than kind of what we're discussing, doing tours, leading tours, managing tours, all that stuff,
Mhm.
what type of work do you think most closely aligns? So let's say a person is turning 16 and they're looking for a job and they know they want to be a tour guide someday, or they want to work in adventure tourism. But realistically, right now, maybe they don't even have a car. Maybe they're living
Right.
with their parents.
Right.
What type of job would you encourage them to go work in that would give them the skills that might be either the skills or the people skills or the more technical skills?
Um, because tourism is a huge employment industry in where we're from. So there's a lot of tourism colleges
Okay.
that yeah. So an introduction, like a certificate course that gets you an introduction to it. I've always thought there's guides that I've worked with that have come from teaching backgrounds, education,
Yeah.
and they because something about education has enables you to work to transfer the skills to tourism. So I've had, I think, two guides have come from education, and education is a good point. So I'd say people industries. If you can do a certificate front of office type of degree, that's great. If you could do a hotel management sort of certificate, it helps. It's a good, but there are people industries, anything in the people skills.
I think one that has come up a few times through conversations, actually someone I spoke with recently that worked as a bartender as
Yes,
he was kind of getting into tourism. I'm like, man, that's perfect. Because if you're
yes,
going to go take groups
yes,
out into the wilderness, groups of mixed personalities and all this stuff, and go take them and deal with them all day,
yes,
like having that skill and experience of being a bartender with a bunch of
yes,
maybe drunk people that are
yes,
difficult,
yes, yes,
and because people go to a bar to have an experience, and I thought
yes.
that was a pretty good
Yeah, I think I
pretty
remember
good
that
fit there.
conversation. It was a
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
from
yeah.
from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yep. I
yeah,
think it was
yeah.
Kieran. Yeah.
Yeah, Karen. Yeah,
So,
he
yeah.
had some interesting. He found his way here in an interesting manner.
Yep. Yep. So, okay, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Um, so getting
Yes.
started in the business, we kind of talked about that. You gave some kind of pointers and tips. What was the biggest challenge for you once you decide, okay, I'm going to start my business. I've got contacts here with the volunteer organization. So I've got somebody I can go stand in front of and pitch
Yes.
every week.
Yes.
But then what were some of the challenges and some of the milestones that you met along the way?
At the
Because like
beginning, it
now I
was,
can go online and look at your website. It's fascinating.
yes,
And like it's
16 years later.
yeah. So let's discuss what did that 16 years look like, and some of the ups and downs.
I always say I've evolved with this business. At the beginning, it was my age worked against me. I was this young 19, 20-year-old who was trying to guarantee a group of people that they could pay me and I could take care of them and they could have a great experience. My mentor slash my competitor was, I don't know, at the time 35. So age wasn't in my favor, but it usually worked out for the most part.
That can be an issue, yes. Because the typical, well, I don't know what your typical clients are. What was your typical client in the beginning from this volunteer organization? I'm thinking middle age, people with a little bit of money, maybe not kids at home. They're a little older than you were.
Yes, it depended with the time of the year. Over the summer, it was of course college kids.
Okay.
Yes, so right. College, everybody's on break, and they would come on a volunteer trip.
But they don't have as much money, right?
They don't have as much money, and we're the same age, so that was good.
The connection's really strong. They trust you, but they don't have any money.
Yes. Despite I was also I started out as doing volunteer trips, low budget. That worked out. Then after the summer and the fall, it used to be now middle-aged and older working class people. That was the tough sell.
But because you're younger than their kids.
Yes. And
they're like, they're thinking about their kids. They're like, my kid could never do this. I would never expect my kid to walk up Kilimanjaro with a bunch of adults and like lead them. So when they look at you, they're like, how could you do it? But it's a little different, isn't it?
It's a little different. It was very funny. So what would happen? We'd always have this pitch, like a pitch night, where the group would come and you do a presentation, and then the other company would have the same thing.
Oh, okay. Back to back.
Back to back, and there was many times I would always ask. I was always curious. I'm like, look, like no hard feelings. You went to the other side, but what was it? And a few of them would say, to be honest, we trusted the other company more just because they seemed more experienced.
Because a few gray hairs in their beard. For those of us who can't see that, you still look much younger than I do. I've got the gray thing.
Like, okay.
So, did you have a way to proactively overcome that? I think they kind of call address the elephant in the room or whatever.
Yes.
Know that's going to be the objection. So how did you manage that?
Yes. So I got ahead of it in a few ways. There's something I realized when I was in college for African wildlife management. I had all this my fellow classmates who would have liked a gig also because they didn't have any work before they graduated. So I said, "Oh, but they had all this knowledge." So so I started this program where I would sell a tour and they would come in as a sit-in guide.
Okay.
Like for the safari part of it. So you'd have your driver guide, and then you'd have another guide in addition from the college who so the wildlife management program was really in-depth and really gave you a superior knowledge than a certificate tour guiding course. So they really knew their stuff. Imagine. So they really knew their stuff. And at the time, because we didn't own our vehicles, we would rent out. The drivers there was no quality control on the drivers. But I knew guys, my classmates who I knew were really smart and they could really, they were really great at interpretation. So I would put them into the truck. So you'd have your driver who would just drive. And if the driver is knowledgeable, great. But if the driver is not, great. I have this a sit-in guide who would now interpret.
And that was different than what your competition was doing?
Yes.
Okay. So what were they doing? I'm just curious.
We just have the driver. We just have the driver, and they'd also struggle with the quality. They'd also struggle with the quality control because they also didn't own their vehicles at the time. So they would also struggle with the quality because sometimes the drivers were okay, sometimes the drivers were not okay. It was a hit or miss. But I was able to guarantee that I could get you a guide who would be on top of it.
Yeah. And I think that, yeah, it makes a lot of sense because I'm
Yes.
imagining, okay, if I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going with a company that's owned by some guy that's 19 years old,
Yes.
or shift that conversation to I'm going with a company that's going to have an African wildlife student that's studying African
Well,
wildlife
yes.
that's going to
Yes.
go along and help us interpret all this stuff. It
Yes.
shifts the focus because
Yes.
I'm good with a 20-year-old college student that's studying biology.
Right. Right. Right.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So
Brilliant.
yeah. So that was a selling point that really helped position the business in those early years.
Okay. So
And
when did you shift or how did you shift from your focus, kind of your target audience of volunteers to
yes.
realizing I don't want to just rely on people that are coming here to volunteer because maybe sometimes even people that come to volunteer may not be the best audience when you want to do something a little bit more upscale, more profitable.
Yes.
So how did
Yeah.
that transition?
I kept the volunteer base, all through college. So I was 3 years of college, and maybe 2 years after that, I kind of stuck with the same base market. And then after that is when now I started expanding otherwise beyond. But what happened? The college piece also really helped the evolution of the business because again, I went into this. I started college having just learned about tours and appreciating the whole tour guiding aspect. I went through college now having learned about environmental management, wildlife management. So that really opened my eyes
Mm-hmm.
even further. So when I graduated, I paired the two. I said, "Oh, like I could really do the guiding and layer in basically a layer of environmental awareness."
Mm-hmm.
So then from there, so moving forward, like I would say, like 5 years in, then we started taking a conservation-based approach, slow travel, just slow down. Like there's no need to rush. Like take it all in. Something more sustainable, taking more of a sustainable approach instead of the quick, tick. Like I just want to see everything and race around the parks. We really started to slow down and use my knowledge into building of the itineraries.
So did you the length of your trips what I'm hearing and
Yes.
maybe I'm not hearing it right, but what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is in college it was kind of like maybe day tours and go out and try and see
Yes.
as much as you can in a day. And then as
Yes.
you progressed into more longer itineraries, multi
Yes.
days, where you could really spend time with people and make an impact. Am I
Yes.
making
Yes.
stuff up in my head or is that what you're
No,
saying?
you're not. You're not because the volunteer. You remember the volunteer window was a three day weekend.
Yeah, I remember
And
you
you
saying
see,
that. Yeah.
yes, you had to pack in as much as you can in the 3 day weekend. But then with time, after graduating and really learning about conservation and why did this parks even exist, there was just so much more. There was so much more that could be done better.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, I started springing forward into that direction.
Okay. Got it.
So then,
Got it.
the volunteer trips started to do. My focus was changed. I wasn't now focused on the volunteer trips anymore. I was now focused on more.
How did you find the clients for this new business model?
Also, the great thing is I had huge word of mouth. Remember, I had
Ah, okay.
40 volunteers who would
Were you,
who would work
and
with
had
once
you
a
been
month.
collecting, I'm sorry had
Yeah,
you been collecting email addresses and all this stuff all along?
I
Or
hadn't. I
was
wish
that
I had.
after the site? You're like, oh man.
But no, but
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Facebook, Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yes, I wish had I known what I know now, I'd have collected email addresses. But I didn't. But I had Facebook. So people would come back. They would share their pictures. They would share their stories, and they would have friends, family members who would want to travel. Maybe not do the volunteer aspect, but they say, hey, like I want to go
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
do the safari part that you did. I want to go trek. So they would always contact me.
That's very cool.
And
So
yes,
they would kind of,
slowly
because you
to
had,
base
so at that point you had a Facebook page, a Facebook presence of some sort.
presence.
So they would, hopefully people that had done something with you would mention you. But okay, got it.
Yes,
Were
yes.
you, when you were first doing this, were you handing out like paper flyers, or when you'd go to your
Brochures. Yes,
presentations, you'd had the brochures and, all
yes,
right. All
yes,
right. And,
yes,
and
yes, yes.
now, just curious, let's flash forward real quick. And now what is the game? Is it digital marketing, right?
Yes. So the game has changed. The game has changed tremendously. So basically, so right now, what our operation looks like, I'm actually talking. I didn't say this introduction. I'm in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Talking to you from Los Angeles. Yes, the operations in Tanzania. It's a full operation. It's a DMC in Tanzania, but I am based out of Los Angeles because I met a girl at this volunteer
Ah,
organization.
that happened. Oh, she was in the volunteer. She was a volunteer.
Yes, not on safari. No,
Nice.
everybody thinks we went on safari, but she didn't go with me.
Okay.
She didn't like my pitch. I'm just kidding.
she she booked her safari with the older guy,
Yeah.
but then came back and had drinks with you. Is that what you?
No, funnily, her parents had booked. Her parents were coming to visit after her stay.
Okay. All
So they
right.
booked one of the bigger packages. They're like, yeah. So she didn't know about me. Yeah.
All right. That's very cool. So,
Yes.
you know what? Let's go there. How long
Yes.
how long have you been with her?
So I met her. She came as a volunteer in 2006.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
25. Well, for a little while.
Yes, we have known each other for a long time. So she came. She ended up staying. She really fell in love with her work there. She ended up staying. She always told me it's not for me. It's for her work.
Ah, okay.
And
And
I say,
one of the
but you're
things,
here, so why not?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think that one of the challenges that can come up for people that work in tourism actually
Mhm.
is relationship issues. So since it came up, let's discuss that, because it's sometimes hard to find someone that's as passionate about anything as you are.
Right.
But if you're passionate about business and making a lot of money, it's not so hard to attract people.
Right.
If you're passionate about being a doctor or a lawyer, it's not so hard to attract people.
Yes.
But sometimes when you're passionate about your tour operation business, several thousand miles away from where they live, and in your free time, you want to go travel and explore and meet people, maybe sometimes it's a little hard to attract people into your life.
Yeah.
So what's
Yes.
the secret? Because you figured it out.
It's very true. I didn't meet her from the travel world, and I know
Right.
there's many cases that
But
do
you,
that do
yeah, go ahead.
happen. But yes, but she came from as far away from Tanzania as possible. She's from Los Angeles or from Tanzania. Like that was a huge distance. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Recommendation. We
Well,
just
if you were to start over, knowing what you know now, if you were to
yes,
start over, you work in the tourism business,
right.
you kind of know what your lifestyle is and what you like. What are
Yes.
the top 2 or 3 things that you would look for in a potential partner that might make it work for 20 some years?
I, Openness, because we
Ah,
come
okay.
from different cultures,
Mm-hmm.
very different cultures, very different walks of life. So just openness, open to learn. It's from both ends, from me and her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So just openness to different cultures.
Okay.
That would be my
So
top one. Like a second one is let's just go with the flow.
I think openness is so big,
Yeah.
whether it's just cultural
Yeah.
differences or not. Even if you're from the same place, but you want to work in tourism, there better
Yes.
be a level of openness. And I think
Right.
for me, it would be curiosity, because I think
Curiosity.
that most people that go into tourism, well, I'll share that I think my highest personal values are shared experiences.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, which is no big surprise that I work in the adventure travel space. Shared experiences. I want to have experiences and I want to share them with people, which was a natural fit. If I was hiring a guide, I would want them to have the same values, but also in a relationship, a shared experiences, someone that maybe feels the same. If their highest value is security and stability or routine and peace and tranquility, then maybe it's not going to work.
Yes.
I don't know about you.
Maybe, yes. This industry isn't that.
Yeah. It's not. I still to this day have this fantasy in my head of meeting someone just a little bit off, just like I am.
Okay.
That's just thinks the same way.
And you said you're in Colombia. Right?
Well, now I was in. I think last time we spoke, I think I was in Colombia. I've been spending a lot of time in Colombia, but I'm actually in Quito, Ecuador.
Oh, you're in Ecuador now. Right.
Yep.
Right.
And just kind of, and I tend to sometimes pick up and move every 2 or 3 weeks. So that makes relationships a challenge as well. That's for a relationship podcast. So.
Yes. But maybe because you're in this world of being a digital nomad, you meet other digital nomads.
Well, that was the thinking.
Yes.
that was the thinking, and that happens. I'm 51, and if I go to a hostel or place that attracts digital nomads, I'm kind of I do my own. I'm not going to say much more about that, but I kind of do my own thing. But anyway, thanks for getting into that. I appreciate that. So,
but anyways, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No, you asked about
the evolution of the business. So I'm just kind of curious.
So basically, what the business looks now, again, it's we have a huge focus on conservation, on sustainability, travel, and looking for the serving clients who want a memorable journey, but also giving back in process.
How do you do that? Because I think sometimes that becomes a buzzword, sustainability, we give back. And it's almost like everybody kind of feels like they have to say that on some level.
Right.
But, just from my time with you, I don't think it's just a buzzword for you.
No.
But how do you do that in a way that doesn't put you at a competitive disadvantage? Because if you spend too much time and energy and money in becoming sustainable, and you've got 8 competitors around you that have green leaves on their website as well, but aren't doing the same thing, how do you manage that?
So how we do it is we actually implement industry standards. For example, Kilimanjaro treks. We do Mount Kilimanjaro treks, to the summit, 7-day trips, where porters are part and parcel on this trip. So a regular trip would be you'd be outfitted with about 4 porters. And basically what happens on Mount Kilimanjaro is because of the porters are usually are local Tanzanians, and they're a very marginalized group where companies take advantage. Porters don't really have a voice. They don't really have a connection with the client. So they end up being paid poor wages or not looked after. But what we do as a business is we are members of a local organization called the Kilimanjaro Trekking Organization. I'm sorry, let me take that back. So it used to be called KPAP, Kilimanjaro Porters Assistant Project, and it just changed the name right now to the Kilimanjaro Responsible Trekking Organization.
That sounds like a good branding change. Yeah.
Yes. More apropos. So basically what they do, they are a third party that makes sure the company is doing what they're saying. So, and they look at about 6 parameters: that you're paying industry required wages, nothing lower, The porters on the trek are well fed. They're also getting 3 meals a day, just like the client. The porters have proper sleeping conditions on the mountain. So they also have, when they get to camp, they also have their own tents. Because what happens in Kilimanjaro sometimes is, to keep the load down, is the porters will sleep in the mess tent where the clients are sleeping, but they'll have to wait for the clients to eat. And then once the clients leave, then they sleep. But if there's hail, rain, anything, these porters have to fend for themselves until the clients are done.
Okay, got it.
So that's what the organization does. It ensures that they all have proper sleeping conditions. That they get the tips they get their fair tips, because what happens again is tips may be collected by the company and they may never make it to the porter. They may be collected by the guide. They may never make it to the porter. So they get their appropriate tips.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that they're there. It's basically an association to ensure that the porters are treated fairly, and sounds a lot like a union.
Yes.
But I'm
it's
curious.
Not a union. It's more an organization, because it's not. There is a porters union that exists,
Okay.
but then this is it's a niche organization, because even the porter union is huge, and there's so many different companies, and there's so many different companies doing so many different things. It is hard for the union to pinpoint who's doing what. But what the organization does is, it's voluntary. It's not. We don't pay. There's no fee. So we volunteer to be a part of the organization. They, in every trek that we have, they have an investigative porter.
Okay.
Yes. So the investigative porter carries everything as normal, but goes back and reports and has a score list and says, yes, on this trek, Pristine did all they're supposed to do.
So if you do a good job, that means you get to use their logo on your website?
Yes.
And if you don't do a good job, then they don't. So what somebody that's thinking about going to Africa might consider as participation in these programs.
Yes.
So if you're doing this, but the other companies are not, but that's a hard message, right? Because someone that's never been to Africa, they're like, okay, I'm ready to book a trip. I'm going to book a trip within the next 3 days.
Yes.
And I'm most likely going to respond to whoever has the prettiest website, best
Quick
reviews,
response.
or responds the quickest, usually is what it is. So what would you say to somebody that values sustainability and conservation, that wants, other than just say, obviously, come to us? What would you say to advise them so they can pick the right company?
I would say usually is, look that the company's information is backed up. These organizations do exist these days. You could just a quick cross-reference. You look at the website, you look at Pristine Trails, they say we're sustainable because we're members with the Kilimanjaro Porters Assistance Project. It takes you 2 minutes to click on that website, look that they're on the list. And
because most companies that would say it presumably would have the logo on the website, usually with a link.
Yes.
If their marketing person's paying attention, right?
Yes.
Have a link to the organization so you can quickly verify those types of things.
Yes. So yes. So that's usually what I recommend. And luckily, for the most part, trips like this, people do some sort of research for the most part. But so we usually recommend, just make sure, if this is important to you, and I would encourage it to be important to you, do your research. Like these things do exist, and the company's website will most likely say something about it, and just take the 2 minutes to make sure.
I'm gonna ask the question that I suspect some people would want me to ask.
Right.
Is this going to cost me more to go with a reputable company that cares about conservation and sustainability?
No, it's not going to cost you more. I don't think it is. And it might be marginally a little more, but at the end of the day, if this means you're supporting the industry and you're supporting you're supporting businesses that are doing the proper thing. That marginal increase, that marginal difference goes a long way. But for the
Okay.
most part, I have done this research actually, thinking this is, some clients have come and say, like, like, oh, like, you're more expensive than company down the road. But if you, and I always ask, okay, like, what company is it? And I'd always look, and I'd usually find out in most cases the company that they're even looking at isn't even registered. It's not even a registered business, so they haven't even met.
Okay.
They haven't even
The
met the
legal
baseline.
requirements, much less the
Yes, and
sustainability.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
yes, I'm like, okay, like, you can't compare. The two are not comparable. But and I have done research. Like, it's, for the most part, it's a very small difference.
You bring up something that's interesting, because I think people are reluctant to sometimes, maybe they look at two different companies. They want something they want to buy, whether it's something material or an experience. They look and they're reluctant to say to the more expensive company, hey, I like you guys, but I found somebody else that does it cheaper. They're reluctant to say that because that's an awkward thing. That's an uncomfortable
Yes.
thing. We don't want to feel like we don't want to get the response, well, fine, if you like them, go book with them. If they're cheaper, whatever.
Yes.
But what I hear you saying, it sounds like you're a little bit more open to, yeah, if you see something else,
Yes.
just give us a call. We'll help you compare apples to apples, because
Yes.
that's a challenge. Is like,
Yes.
we've got two totally different products,
Yes.
and we'll be happy to discuss the differences with you,
Yes.
because we know the business, we know our competitors. And if you
Yes.
choose to go with the competitor because it makes more sense for you, then that's fine.
Yes.
But at least give us a chance to explain the differences. I worked in real estate for quite a while, and it was kind of that way with like mortgage lenders and stuff. It's like, sometimes it's like, hey, okay, you got a great deal from Rocket Mortgage. It looks great.
Yes.
It's a great quote, whatever. But
Yes.
maybe just have a conversation with one of our brokers that we work with closely, and they can help you just understand the differences. You go whichever way you want to go.
Yes.
But at least, and I thought it was good to have that opportunity. So what I hear you saying is you're open to that. So if anybody listening to this and looking at a trip, would you encourage them to just pick up the phone or send an email and start the conversation?
Yes, yeah, we do encourage that, and we're creating a lot of blogs just to educate people about what parameters should you be looking at, just to give them a baseline, because I've seen this, I see it a lot. Safaris, Kilimanjaro treks, they tend to be not cheap trips. So people, you go online today, if you Google safari, you'll get a barrage of information, and people get lost in all the information. There's almost too much information. So we're creating all this educational pieces just to tell people, like, okay, this is what you're looking for, baseline. What do you want to see? What destination do you want to go to? How much time do you have? Who's going to make this trip possible for you? Is it going to be a local based tour company in Tanzania, or is it going to be a travel advisor in the US? Both are okay. And then once you find this business is vouching, does this business stand up for what I believe in? Like, if sustainability is your ethos, does this business, are they a sustainable business? That's when now you can go into the company's website and see if they belong to any third-party organizations, then can vouch for them. I talked about one, Kilimanjaro Porters Assistance Project. Currently, the Kilimanjaro. It's a new term, so I'm still
I get it.
It still slips in mind. Kilimanjaro Responsible Trekking Organization, or are they part of? Are they a B Corp? There's been podcasts where you've talked to people that are B Corp, that are part of the B Corp. That's another great one. Do they say they give part of their money to conservation? Which organizations? Like, for example, in the safari end, for us, we donate a portion of our profits to a desnaring project. Like snares, like with poachers, they put all these snares in, particularly Serengeti National Park. So we donate a part of our proceedings to help with a desnaring project.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but again, like the company is saying this, but can you find that information on the desnaring organization?
Right.
So
right.
yes.
It's a challenge because there's certain things people just normally like. They know the difference between a high-end Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and Burger King.
Yeah.
You know, they know the difference between maybe a Ritz-Carlton and a Motel 6.
Right.
It's pretty easy for them to kind of, well, I knew what I was getting because I booked the Motel 6.
Yes.
But when it's booking a trek up Kilimanjaro, there's how many different routes that are, there's 5 or 6 routes or something like that?
Yes, there's 6 ascent routes.
Okay.
Ascending,
so,
yeah.
And there's a variety of camps, tented camps, cabin. There's just so many different variables.
So much.
So when you say to somebody, you know, or somebody says, I want to go to Africa and I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, the rest of that stuff is just kind of hard to get your head around until you get there because you're not going to see levels of 3-star hotel, 2-star hotel,
yes,
or meals or whatever. It's just like really hard to get your head around it.
Right.
I had a hot air balloon ride business for several years, and most people have never been in a balloon, or if they do it once. So it's really hard to sometimes get across. Well, okay, if you go with this company, maybe it'd be my company. We're going to be in a small balloon. It might be a private flight. It might be you and your fiance or soon to be fiance if you want to do something romantic, you know, if you want to do the proposal. But then there's other companies out there that sell a balloon ride.
Yes.
But it's with 20 people in the basket. And, you know, if you want to share your proposal with 20 other people, then that's great. But it's really hard, you know, because people just think of it as a balloon ride.
Right. Yeah.
What's the difference in a balloon ride?
It's a balloon ride.
And you do balloon rides. You've got, you know, I know.
Yes.
We do them.
Yeah.
So it's, so I always encourage people to reach out at least to one person that you feel comfortable with. You know, maybe you look at 3 different websites and you're like, well, these 2 are cheaper.
Yes.
This one's a little bit more expensive.
Right.
I wonder why, number 1. And number 2, if they're comfortable advertising higher prices, they're probably comfortable having a conversation about what they offer. There's probably a reason they do it, because nobody's going to mark up their trips 30% above their competitors unless there's a reason. So maybe just call them and ask them why.
Yes. And I recommend in these days, do the legwork. Do the legwork, vouch for some companies, and then get on a call, especially for trips like this, where, you know, they're 7-day trips, they are investments. You know, the trips are not cheap. Like a Kilimanjaro trek is north of $3,000.
Yeah. And there's some health and other concerns and issues maybe you want to have an opportunity to discuss before somebody gives you their credit card, right?
Yes. So I would highly recommend, you know, do the legwork. Find companies, find a handful of companies, maybe 3 to 5, and then jump on a call, talk to these companies, and see which is a good fit.
I think that's great advice. And unfortunately, I also recognize with technology the way it is now, like, number 1, it's easy to do a call.
Yes.
But number 2, people are so reluctant to pick up the phone or to do a video call.
Yes.
They just kind of want to sit behind their screen and they're maybe just text or WhatsApp or whatever.
Yes.
And it's like, look, we could spend the next 3-4 days sending messages back and forth, or we could just jump on a video call, do a face-to-face thing. You'll know whether you trust me probably within the first 30 seconds, just because we connect so much quicker. I mean, people don't get scammed on video calls. Have you noticed that? When people talk about getting scammed, it's almost always a text message, Facebook Messenger, email, WhatsApp.
Yes.
The scammer never says, let's jump on a video call. I don't think.
Yes.
I mean, they might call you randomly, but a scammer, and I'm not suggesting that anybody in the tourism space is scammers, but my point is scammers don't use video calls because they know it's harder to conceal themselves. So just jump on a call. Nobody cares what your hair looks like or, you know, any of that stuff. I think
it's not recorded.
Yeah, it's not like we're recording this call, but you don't like whoever's listening to this, when you call Ed, don't worry about it. He doesn't need to record it. He's a nice guy. He's a good looking guy. It'll be a fun conversation. I just don't know why. I mean, I do some work with clients and I'm working on trying to set up the call to action should not be in my opinion. And I didn't look at this part of your website, but but it's like the call to action should not be fill out this long form and we'll respond to you by email within 3 business days and I just love hey, let's just book a call. Pick a time on your calendar. You know that you're going to meet with me. You don't have to wonder when I'm going to get back to you by email. And after 10 minutes, if you're like, I don't like this guy, but I'm going to ask you a few more questions so I can learn a little bit more about Africa. That's fine. You can do that, right?
Very much so. And then, so much is lost over email. Yeah. So much is lost over email.
They say that only like 7% of communication is the words we use.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the rest is a combination of body language and tone.
Yes.
Which we all know that. I mean, anybody that's been using email or text and is in any sort of relationship with anybody knows that you can send one thing and the person receives something totally different.
Yes. Very much so,
you can't, it's hard to do that in person. And well, you know what? Let's touch on this, because when I started to ask you about how you find your clients, that's when you mentioned, oh, well, I'm in LA now.
Yes.
So let's dig into that a little bit.
Right.
Are you living in LA?
Yes.
Okay.
So So we're based out of LA now, me and my wife, and we both run the business. So we run the sales division from Los Angeles, and the operations
is handled on the ground there
in Tanzania.
Do you work both? So you mentioned, I think, DMC at some point in the conversation. Some of our listeners might not know what that is.
Yes.
So let's clarify what you do with your business. Who is your client? How do you work? So people listening to this will know right away if they should be reaching out to you directly or doing something different.
So basically DMC is a destination management company. So we do not outsource. It's our operation in Tanzania. It's our guides that are trained in-house. It's our full staff. We don't own our own accommodations. But we pair up with great accommodations on the safari circuit. So we're also not biased in pushing you in a certain direction because we don't own the accommodation. So we're independent.
I'm happy you mentioned that, because that's something that, they're not big enough to own their own accommodation. Well, you have to be pretty damn big to own enough accommodations that you can actually customize the accommodations to the client's needs.
Yes.
And when you get that big, then you've got other issues, right?
Yes. No, it's a tailor operation where we tailor the itinerary that suits your budget. Again, like we do, I would say, like we start from mid-luxury all the way to high-end luxury trips, and we would pair a trip. We mix and match. There's no. You don't have to box in a certain price category. We mix and match in accordance to the trip you want, and also what you're comfortable spending.
Okay, so if I'm just a person in the U.S. or wherever, I guess it could be wherever, but let's just imagine I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm like, I've been wanting to take my family on safari.
Yes.
They could contact you guys. Your link will be in the website, or your website link will be in the show notes, but they could reach out to you, do a video call. I hope they do that, and book a safari. Great. And then but let's say I'm Mary and I'm a travel agent or an outbound tour operator. So somebody that has a website that offers African safaris on your website, but I live in Iowa and I don't own anything. I don't have any guides. I just have a network of people that I use in Africa, usually.
Yes.
Could Mary reach out to you and basically work with you on a B2B level as well?
Yes.
I know I'm over explaining this for most of the listeners.
So we do both. We do direct to client and we do direct business to business.
Okay.
Yes, we do direct business to business. And
so whether you want to go to Africa or you have clients that want to go to Africa, it seems like it would be worth looking at your website, reaching out and setting up a call.
East Africa.
You're right.
East
You're
Africa.
right. Thank you. That's good. You
Yes.
caught me in actually, we should touch on that.
Yes.
We should touch on that.
Yes.
Because I've been to Africa. I know that Africa is a big place and it's not all the same.
Yes.
But I also recognize that a lot of the people you speak with probably don't realize it's not all the same. So we should touch on that. What do you want to share about that? Because you kind of caught me in it.
Namibia.
I've been to Namibia, Zambia, and South Africa.
South Africa, okay.
Yeah, so I have a lot more. There's a lot more to see.
Yeah, so you've seen Southern Africa. Beautiful, beautiful region. Beautiful region, and we are up in East Africa.
Yeah,
so Tanzania primarily, that's where our operation is based. And we organize tours to Tanzania and the greater East African region. So Rwanda for the gorilla treks, Rwanda, Uganda for the gorilla treks, and Kenya.
Right. And I knew that. And when I said Africa, I'm curious what you think, because I'm thinking 80% of people that have this vision in their head of going to Africa.
Yes.
It's probably safari.
Right.
And the vision they see when they think of safari is like a picture of the migration, which is Eastern Africa.
Yes.
Or do you know the numbers? Like does Eastern Africa get significantly more than Southern Africa, or is it pretty balanced?
No, Southern Africa gets more.
They do.
They get more, but and it's because of the infrastructure.
Oh well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's this, South Africa as a country, for example, is a huge base for international flights.
That's true.
The ease of getting in, but that is
a lot of people fly into Johannesburg and then go up north, right?
Yes,
yeah,
okay. That is changing. That is changing. I haven't looked at the data post-COVID, but there is. I would be surprised if I know for sure East Africa is punching above its weight right now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how significant it has moved, because I know, for example, Ethiopian Airlines out of Ethiopia is a huge continental carrier, and so they have really helped, because they are based out of East Africa. So they've really helped connect international flights into that region. And
but I'll tell you what, Ed, I'm going to stick with what I said. I'm going to go back to what I said, and I'm going to stick with it.
Yes.
Because if you're the person that I just know I want to go to Africa, but I don't know where.
Yes.
Because most don't.
Yes.
I don't think most people do.
Yes.
So if you want to go to Africa, you've got this picture of elephants and giraffes and lions and wildebeest, then don't overthink this. Just go to Ed's website.
Yes.
Maybe you'll end up going to Southern Africa. I don't know. But the point is, don't overthink it, because I think that's a challenge for a lot of people. It's like, I want to go to Africa, but I'm not sure which country.
Where to go?
I think Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Zambia. There's quite a few you probably can't go too wrong with, right?
Namibia, South Africa. Can't go wrong with East Africa.
No.
You can't go wrong with
Good for you. So that implies you could go wrong with other choices. And since Ed does safaris in Eastern Africa, you heard it from the expert.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The wildlife numbers are the best. Tanzania, for example, not to be biased, has the highest lion population in the world. Okay. The entire wild lion.
Yeah, there's a difference, right?
Well, yeah, I know. I'm gonna. Some people be like, no, it doesn't. Wild lion population. We have one of the world's biggest mammal migration, the wildebeest migration. Mm-hmm. We have plenty of other wildlife. Your giraffes. The big five. You can find your rhinos here. You can find your buffaloes, your leopards, your cheetahs. The typical African safari experience. You can't go
and combine that with Kilimanjaro or whatever. You've got also some coastal things, some beaches.
Islands. Yes, you can combine that with a trip to Zanzibar and enjoy the islands. You can't go wrong with East Africa.
All right. Well, we're going to leave that part there. But because I know we could probably have a whole series of conversations about Africa and you and your experiences. But I want to do this. What did I forget to ask you? What should I have asked you? I know you mentioned you had a list in case I didn't ask you. So take a look at that. Is there anything on the list we didn't cover, or anything you want to make sure that our listeners know about you, life in general, Africa, or any of that stuff before we wrap up?
Well, yes, thank you. We have touched on a lot, and we have touched a lot on, how to book a safari. We've talked about that and the steps that I recommend, what regions to visit. Sustainability is, I encourage people, support businesses that practice sustainability. There's always the saying that I can't change it by myself, but if we all take a step at it, the industry will change. And I will say, having run Pristine Trails 16 or more years now, I have seen, just for example, with Kilimanjaro, there was a time when we used to be a part of the organization I was talking about, Kilimanjaro Responsible Trekking Organization. There used to be a handful of companies. And now, if you go on that list, there's so many companies that, international and local. So it does make a difference. Mm-hmm. It really does. Like it pushes the industry in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Pushes the industry in the right direction. So I encourage people, if you're visiting East Africa or South Africa, champion sustainable tourism. And the organizations out there, all businesses will share the information on their websites. And I encourage people to do that.
I'm going to ask you, I suspect that if you got on the phone with somebody and you really felt like South Africa or Southern Africa was a better bet for them, I suspect enough people that do a great job that you could refer them on, right? I don't want to.
Yes.
Because you mentioned we don't own a hotel, so we're not, or a lodge, so we're not beholden to putting you in that lodge, whatever. So let's take that one step further and say, look, if I get on the phone with you and there's a good reason for you to do something in Namibia or Southern Africa, you've been around a while, you know context. The first time I talked to you, you're like, oh yeah, I heard your podcast with Alan who does safaris in Africa.
Yes.
And you know people. So
yes, I do. And having had this business for a long time, we have clients that come back that say, Edward, I traveled with you 10 years ago. I want to come back to the region, but not Tanzania. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I want to do that again. What can I do now? I want to go to Southern Africa. Do you do that? And we say, no, but do you know somebody? And we always keep people in contact.
And I like the fact that you would say, no, we don't, because in 16 years, you could do it.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
you could tell someone, you know what? Yeah, we can do a South African safari for you. But anytime you've got a tour operator that says, you know what? We don't do that.
Yes.
But I know somebody that can.
Yes.
That's a good sign.
Yes.
Because sometimes we get a little caught up in our businesses thinking, well, I don't want to miss out on anything.
Yes.
I want to try and do all of it. And you can't do all of it It's like, the pizza chain selling hamburgers and the hamburger chain selling pizzas. And it's just like, it's so much easier just to say, hey, there's a real good pizza joint right down the street here. Mm-hmm. So,
but
anyway. All right. Anything else on the list we missed?
So we have a great network of other companies that match the standard that we would want, and that we're confident in, and that vice versa, they're confident in our standard in the East African region. That's where the business to business component comes in. Yeah, but otherwise, we've covered a lot.
All right, very cool. This has been a fun conversation. I look forward to collaborating with you on some projects in the future. Maybe meeting you in Africa, because I have not been to Eastern Africa yet, and it's on my list. So, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking time out of your day and with your family and spending it with us. So, thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you so much, Jason. This has been an honor.
It was kind of fun, right? Now I'll share now we made it to this point. I'll share with the audience that you had told me you'd never been on a podcast before.
No.
And anybody that's still listening would be shocked to hear that, because it was it was a great conversation. So I'm happy we did it. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I trust you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you're enjoying the Big World Made Small podcast, please take a moment to tell the algorithm by subscribing and posting a review so that others can benefit as well. I also invite you to take a quick trip over to bigworldmadesmall.com and join our private adventure travel community to receive new episode notifications, special access to our guest experts, and perhaps even some exclusive partner offers that we haven't discussed on the podcast. I'll publish another episode soon. Until then, keep exploring. It's the best way to make a big world feel just a bit smaller.